Well, several years ago, I was attending school near San Francisco, going to the Unitarian Universalist Seminary, which was then located in Berkeley. My family, however, was in Phoenix, my father and stepmother and brother and sisters. And so, over the holidays, I went down to Phoenix to visit family. I visited friends, and I was looking for the least expensive way to get back to Berkeley, back to school after the holidays. And I met a person, a woman at a party who was going to drive from Phoenix to Los Angeles, and I said I would share the gasoline cost of the trip if she would drop me at the Los Angeles airport. And at that time, in the 1970s, there was very cheap flights within the state of California from one place to another. So I could actually then fly from Los Angeles to San Francisco for about $12, cheaper than a bus. Some kind of deregulation within the state. The trip is short, it's about an hour, and the airplane that I got on had seats for about 200 persons, although that evening the passenger section was nearly empty. I imagine they were just relocating the plane for future flights. Now, flying, I like flying. It's exciting. I enjoy the experience. I've been on many airplane flights, but I still find the experience of looking out the window fascinating. From my memory of maps, I try to pick out landmarks below me. And when I'm flying, I always remember that I'm having an experience that until just a few years ago, no human being in history had ever had. That evening, I selected a seat in the back of the airplane next to a window. Only one other person was in the back on the right-hand side of the plane, a woman who took a seat just in front of me. No one else on the airplane could see the back right engine except me and the woman sitting in front of me. At the Los Angeles airport, many flights take off and turn over the Pacific Ocean because of the noise. They try to avoid residential areas. So as I watched from the window, it was evening, we rose smoothly into the air. The lights of the city quickly gave way to the darkness of the water. And then suddenly, there was a bright yellow flame, a stream of fire rushing out of the right engine of the two-engine plane. Now, only two of us could see it, myself and the woman sitting in the seat in front of me. Other passengers further up couldn't see what we saw. The woman in front of me began to scream. "Oh my God," she cried. "Fire! The plane is on fire! Oh my God, we're going to crash!" Well, the other passengers, of course, turned and looked back at the woman and then at me with questioning expressions on their faces. Because I had the same view, they expected me to either confirm or deny the woman's statements. Well, in an instant, different thoughts ran through my head. Now, the minister part of me, I was a student studying for the ministry at that point and trying to be adopting that role. I wanted to reassure people that everything was going to be all right. I saw myself stand up and saying, in my best ministerial voice at the age of 24, "It's okay. It's just that one engine is on fire. Everything will be fine. Just relax, calm down." However, it occurred to me that I didn't know whether it was all right. It could be that the woman was correct. It could be that we were going to crash. If this was so, it did not seem appropriate to spend our last moments before we hit the water trying to calm her down. I should not try to frustrate, this is also ministerial, I should not try to frustrate her expression of feelings. Therefore, I did not say anything. Let her scream, I decided. I thought maybe all of us should be screaming. The plane stopped its climb. The cabin began to fill with the smell of smoke. A small sign in front of me said, "Seat cushion will float." This began to take on new meaning. I started to make a mental note of the location of the extra seat cushions. Well, throughout our lives, we all receive both small and big warnings about the sacredness of each moment. The death of a friend or relative reminds us of the value of each hour. Injury or illness forces us to think about what's important. Each of us deals with this awareness of human limitations in our own way. One way we cope is to turn towards religion. We hope that religion will help us come to grips with the meaning of our life. We hope that religious thinkers might give us insight into how our lives, our work, our small part in the universe has meaning and significance. Now, as a minister, I can now report, after doing this for a while, that many clergy find this expectation intimidating. Indeed, we sometimes feel dishonest standing up in pulpits or writing books, knowing that we are not nearly as wise as people hope we are. Clergy have studied the history and traditions of religion. We've gained experience in the management of a religious community. We've developed skills in public speaking and in the religious arts. We have training in helping others explore their questions and helping others become comfortable with their own feelings. However, we don't have any special knowledge about the meaning of life. I'm sorry. We do not know much more than most of you about the topic. Religious leaders struggle hard as everyone else, trying to figure out how to live our lives fully. I've been thinking about this question since I entered the seminary back in 1974 at the age of 23. And for myself, at least, I've developed guides that I use in my own life. And this morning, I want to share with you a list of the floating seat cushions to which I cling to give my life significance. First, relationships with family members are important. Now, most of us have mixed feelings about our parents, our brothers and sisters, our spouses, our children. Part of the meaning of life, part of my task in the universe, is to work on those relationships. I thought about them that evening on that airplane as I watched the flames come out of the engine. I thought about family. Now, as a husband and as a parent, this means that I try to attend to the relationships with my wife and my children. At other times, it means taking a trip to see my sister or my brother or my stepmother. At still other times, it means writing a letter or making a phone call. And it may mean sharing my home with family when they come to visit. Working on my relationships with my family is a lifelong project. It's part of the significance of my life. Second, my relationships with my friends are important. And I thought about my friends also in that moment on that airplane. There's a survey taken in 2004 by the University of Chicago. Researchers asked a cross-section of persons how many close friends they had. How many close friends do you have? Not relatives, but close friends. Now, the most common response in this survey of about 1,500 people was 0. 25% responded that they had no close friends, outside, of course, of their family. The second most common response was one close friend. Others marked 2, 3, or 4. No one had more than 7 close friends. I understand this. It's difficult to maintain those connections over time. Being friends is scary. We can get hurt if we open ourselves to others, if we allow ourselves really to be with them, to let them know who we really are. Yet throughout my life, I've found a few people with whom I can relax and let down my defenses. These friendships are part of what gives meaning to my life. And I thought about my friends that day on that airplane. Third, I think learning is important. My impression is that human beings are here on this earth to learn. It has something to do with the evolutionary process that got us to this point in human development. We create universities and institutions for research. We put telescopes in outer space. A task of every human being is to help carry forward the search for knowledge. Participating in the growth of human knowledge, if only in a small way, gives my life meaning. Although I didn't think about that on the airplane that day, except the knowledge of what is going on here. What is happening? Later on, I read more about engines on jet airplanes. Fourth, nature is important. I find meaning in the beauty of the winter. The spring flowers will come soon, and the summer rain. For me, it is a prayer to visit a garden in the spring, or to sit in a forest in the summer, or take a walk in the woods in January. I love the sanctuary with its views that change throughout the year of the trees all around us. The splendor of nature gives meaning to my life. And I guess I was thinking about nature as I was looking out at that ocean, that dark ocean, as we were taking off, and the amazing size of the Pacific Ocean. Fifth, speaking. Speaking and acting against injustice is important. So hunger and homelessness are wrong. The destruction of the environment is wrong. The death penalty is wrong. So I write letters, I send a check, I attend demonstrations, I work in the election process. I participate in life in these ways, and I think they are meaningful. When I support and encourage others who work to live out their values, I am engaged in life in a significant way. Sixth, creative expression is important. So I find value in plays and drama, poetry and novels. I find merit in painting and sculptures. I find worth in music. I didn't sing that night, but I might have. Art expresses the range of human emotions from laughter to tears. Whatever form it takes, art is, for me, a justification of my life and of human existence, of your lives. In art, we can be both observer and participant. At times, we are the audience. At other times, we are the writer. We are the actor. We are the painter. We're the photographer. We're the singer. Seventh, being present in the moment is important. And I tried to be present in the moment that evening on that airplane. A Buddhist puts it this way: while While washing dishes, he wrote, one should only be washing the dishes, which means that while washing the dishes, one should be completely aware of the fact that one is washing dishes. At first glance, this might seem a little silly. Why put so much stress on such a simple thing? But that is precisely the point. The fact that I am standing there and washing these bowls is a wondrous reality. I'm being completely myself, following my breathing, conscious of my presence, and conscious of my thoughts and actions. There's no way I can be tossed around mindlessly like a bottle slapped here and there on the waves. Being fully present, and I certainly felt fully present on that airplane that night. A passage by the Jewish philosopher Martin Buber makes the same point. He wrote, I've given up the religious, which is nothing but the exceptional. I possess nothing but the everyday. I possess nothing but the everyday, out of which I am never taken. I know no fullness, but each mortal hour's fullness of claim and responsibility. Being present in the moment. And finally, 8, a sense of the divine is important. Karen Armstrong, in her book, A History of God, wrote, one of the reasons why religion seems irrelevant today is that many of us no longer have the sense that we are surrounded by the unseen. We are surrounded by the unseen. Well, I feel surrounded by and part of an all-encompassing unseen unity, larger than me, larger than my family, larger than my nation, larger than the human race, larger than that airplane I was on that night. My belief in a unity, a connection with the larger life around me, is an answer to depression and despair. Many people call this unity God. Others might call it the spirit of life. The name, it's not important. The feeling of being connected to something larger than me, that is important. That feeling may have been part of why I didn't immediately panic and start screaming that night on that airplane. On that evening of January 1st, 1976, it was New Year's Day that night. I was in a jet airplane over Los Angeles, and that stream of fire rushed out of the right engine of the plane. It stopped for a minute, and then it happened again a second time. And then the pilot's voice came over the loudspeaker. We've had the compressor on one of our two engines go out. Didn't know what a compressor was. Just to play it safe, we'll be returning to the airport, which I thought was a good idea. The frightened woman in the seat in front of me quieted down. A few minutes later, I could see the runway and feel the wheels touch the ground. We taxied safely back to the terminal. Now, small events like the malfunction of an airplane engine can encourage us not to postpone the things we want most out of life. They can encourage us to appreciate life at its fullest and celebrate the many miracles that are around us. They can encourage us to evaluate our priorities and get back to what is really important. Every moment is a sacred moment. If I don't feel this, it's because petty distractions engage me. However, I can break out of my busy days and feel that every moment is sacred. As I waited for the next flight, they had another airplane ready for us a couple hours after we landed. As I waited for that flight, I took a walk outside. I found myself looking intensely into the sky, really seeing it, seeing the sky at the Los Angeles airport, all the noise and the cars, but I looked up and I could see the stars looking over the rooftop. And I thought, there's an entire world of beauty and sky, a universe full of wonders that I had in the rush of events forgotten about for a little while. That evening, something inside me revived and renewed a vital link. I said to myself, look up. It's a good universe out there, one I should cherish and enjoy. On this earth is a whole rich, beautiful world, a good world, which exists right alongside all the trivial issues and all the tensions and all the struggles. It waits for me to honor and to appreciate it. So in this new year, there will be suffering and troubles as each of us searches for our own meaning. Everything will not always work perfectly. There'll be misunderstandings and mistakes. There'll be fear. There'll be tragedy. But there will also be moments of joy and meaning that will sustain us and make those struggles worthwhile. Let's join